What's going on, Aces? Welcome back to the channel. So, shout out to Mr. J. Hill and Monique Samuels, their interview that they did on his podcast. It was so good. Monique opens up, about her marriage. She opens up about her time on reality TV, both The Real Housewives of Potomac and Love and Marriage DC. And I really found her to be so insightful. She was willing to be raw and open and vulnerable in regards to her personal growth. So I'm going to let you listen to this clip and then I will give some commentary.
A lot of my marriage and even in the dating years, I felt like the entire time I was trying to prove myself to him. And it wasn't that he required that.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, that was my own issue. That was me. I felt as though because he was the one that he played in NFL, he busted his butt to make the money that he made, and I wanted him to relax. I didn't want him to have to want for anything. I wanted him to just be able to enjoy his life. But I didn't feel like even after marriage, I didn't even feel like I had that right.
Wow. So just that opening statement I found to be really powerful and insightful. That she felt like she didn't have that right, that she felt, her own inadequacies. Because I'm sure Chris, being the man, being the provider, that was a role that he felt very comfortable in. It was her. And she talks about the times where, she was working as his personal assistant, essentially. And if he couldn't make an appearance, she said that she would take on, kind of like the bad guy role. And it really sounds like she was resentful of that, even if he didn't ask her to, right? I feel like Monique put a lot of pressure on herself, and that came through to the audience. I remember watching, they're fighting back and forth, and a lot of times she just felt so frustrated. Like that was the emotion that I kept getting from Monique. Like she said that she was just, trying to be heard. She wanted Chris to be more vulnerable, but I feel like Chris didn't see anything wrong, at least from his side, right? Like he didn't have an issue providing for her and the kids. He didn't have an issue with, just like working and, playing in the NFL, coming home to Monique. I think it was her own, just personal issues that she was trying to grow and evolve and change and mature from. One thing that I did really appreciate as well from this interview was she talked about her time on reality TV. So Jay reached out to her via her DMs 2 years ago. She said that she just now saw it, and that's why the interview came about. But I'll let you guys hear about her talking about her time working on Love and Marriage DC, how that came about, and the executive producer, and I'll give some commentary at the end because what she says next is very interesting.
I don't check DMs, and I had to think about what was I going through during that time period. That was during Love and Marriage DC. I was stressed the fuck out. Love and Marriage DC, let me tell you, that was my greatest nightmare, but my greatest teacher, because it basically it put me out there without any context. Like on this show, when I tell you I was ranting and raving, I was at my wit's end with the marriage. And I was like doing all that I could. I'm like trying to get this dude to see time is of the essence. Like, I really need you to step up. I need you to wake up.
Please.
Yes. But imagine you being on camera and having a conversation, and now something's said in the conversation that pops you off. They ain't showing nothing about that. They just showing you pop off. So when I tell you, it was like every single scene I was yelling and I was going off. And when I tell you, the whole synopsis of the show was get to know the real full me, get to know the real me. And they got me like only had me yelling and going crazy.
Angry black woman.
Yo, it was terrible. And it was crazy because I came from a show where I was a fan favorite. And then now I'm supposed to have my own show, and I am like the most hated. And it was tough. I was like, damn, they are on me hard. And I had to get to the point where I said, you know what? I feel like this is the part of the story where my ego starts to die. I had to kill my ego. I had to care even less about what people thought about me, because only I knew what was really going on, behind the scenes. And it was a huge test of just like, all right, let's see how much you've grown.
How did that show come about?
So when I left Housewives, there was one of the producers that used to be a part of Housewives franchise who started his own. He approached me with support and came at me with some like, we Black, and these white shows, they don't show Black people in the light that they should be shown in, and it can be natural drama, it doesn't have to be this scripted drama, and it created a relationship of like, all right, let's see what we can do together, let's work together. So I believed him when he used the Black card, and he did me worse than the white folks. I was like, he could have waited to the second season to trash me.
So you think Love and Marriage DC did you worse than Real Housewives of Potomac?
Yeah.
Damn.
It was worse. It was like, there was no context. There was no reason to all of the fussing and fighting. It was like, it's love and marriage. So show the full outlook of what a love and marriage, like show what all of it looks like, right? I have always been very open on camera. Like, I like to be as transparent as possible. But if my spouse is not also that way, then if you're not saying anything, they're only going to be showing what I'm saying. So it was very unbalanced. And then it was just like, we got her, dog her ass out. Like, it was like my name was used to gain the audience. And I mean, I felt like I got trashed on that show. They didn't show any of my real moments. They didn't show the moments where I gave more context to what was happening. It was just like me, like, yeah. But I was the one reacting. It was me reacting, but show why I was reacting like that, And it was very unorganized, on camera, off camera. It was a mess. And I left after the first season.
Did you think it?
Okay, so a few things here, right? She was used as, name recognition to start Love and Marriage DC, because her and Chris were the anchor couple. Most people, myself included, didn't know any of the other couples, with the exception of Chris and Monique from the Real Housewives of Potomac. And it really is unfortunate that, the producer of the show, which we all know who she's talking about, but since she's not going to name him, I'm not going to name him. Because from what the word on the curb is, he likes to strike content creators' channels, and ain't nobody got time for that. So yeah, the producer that worked with her before at Bravo, essentially drafted her to create Love and Marriage DC, and the editing was, extremely unflattering, right? It is unfortunate that she was constantly fighting and bickering with Chris. And that's all that we saw, right? There wasn't any context, really. There wasn't any nuance. There wasn't any type of backstory or explanation. It was just a lot of her screaming, yelling, ranting, and raving. That was a good majority of how she was shown on the show. And then as far as the Black card is concerned, I mean, when she said that, I was like, wow, she said he did her dirtier than the white folks did on Bravo. I'm like, oh my goodness. But here's the thing too, right? You have Candy Burris saying that he essentially stole Escape and their life story and tried to sell their life story to TV One, I believe. You have Winter from Love and Marriage DC saying, that she just doesn't trust and doesn't get along with, this executive producer. You have Melody Cherie saying that, his leadership style is very unprofessional. And it's just like, okay, person after person after person after person. Like my grandmama said, baby, everybody ain't lying on you. Okay. Even in the Bible, it says, where 2 or 3 witnesses are gathered, right? Like everybody, if everybody has the exact same story or something similar, it's time to look inward. And it's unfortunate because, again, you do have someone who has a platform, who has a production company, who has the ability to elevate, right? To show Black people in a positive light, because it is unfortunate that so many, media outlets and platforms monetize, our trauma and our pain. And it's just like you look to Black owned companies or Black owned networks or Black owned production companies to be that medium, right, that will distribute stories of complexity that show us as three-dimensional, full the full spectrum of our humanity, like we're human beings. And to not perpetuate these dehumanizing images and stereotypes of us that have been perpetuated for so long, before we had access to any type of production or, media power or agency, right? It's unfortunate because we do not want to continue to be shown around the world essentially as caricatures, right? Like, the desexualized mammy and the over-sexualized tragic mulatto and the buck and the coon and the buffoon and the tap dancing, shucking and jiving. And it's just like all those things are so overdone. And it's just like, or the angry Black woman trope, like Monique and Jay said here in the podcast. Like, you do not want to see those same negative stereotypes, because after a while, people really do truly believe those lies. And it's not just, one demographic, people over in Africa, people over all over the world. If they continue to see these same negative stereotypes and they don't have everyday interaction with Black people, that's going to be their lasting impression, unfortunately. So the fact that, we do have Black people behind the cameras and we can, tell our stories and tell our experiences and how we navigate the world in a more positive, uplifting light, you would think one would want to do that, and it's really unfortunate and heartbreaking sometimes when when we don't uplift each other. But I appreciate Monique telling her story, and I appreciate, Jay Hill having her out. Shout out to, to Jay on his podcast in order to do that, because I'm glad that she left the show. You know what I mean? That she needed to do that for her own well-being and her own mental health. She said that her and Chris are co-parenting well. So I hope that they both, find love again and live their lives, happily ever after. Monique says she does want to get married again. And I hope that she continues to do the work, um, emotionally evolve and become more emotionally available, hopefully to her next future spouse. But you guys, let me know your thoughts. What do you think about what Monique said in regards to, just her time on reality TV and moving forward? Let me know. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will talk with you in the next one. Take care, Aces. Bye.